This is CWO4 Victor Pinion, U.S. Navy retired, telling some stories of my naval career. This one is while I was serving aboard the USS Midway, CV-41, as the Catapult Rescuer Visual Aids Maintenance Officer. The ship had been deployed to the Western Pacific, homeported at Yokosuka, Japan for 4 years at the time I reported aboard. It had originally been scheduled to be over there for 3 years, and it would be a year overdue for normal overhaul. At that time, they were going to bring it back, relieve it with another carrier, the original plan, and bring it back to the States, put it in the shipyard for a year and overhaul it. Meanwhile, a different carrier would be the home port carrier in Yokosuka, Japan. Well, that plan fell through. The politicians decided, well, we'll just leave her over there doing her job. Well, I guess this meeting took place in Washington, D.C. or something. I don't know. I was not privy to it at the time, but I was told about it later. Somebody, like an old chief engineer or somebody that had been stationed aboard the Midway, or maybe still was at that meeting and said, look, the ship is in bad need of overhaul. It's worn out. It's past due for overhaul. It needs to be overhauled. It needs to be put in the shipyard and overhauled. Well, somebody, I don't know who, probably a politician, said overhaul it incrementally during its regular import periods. That person probably was not aware of the ship's deployment requirements. The nation of Japan had required for home porting the ship there in the first place. I was told this later. They had required that the ship not be in its home port any more than 30 days out of any calendar quarter, and that no individual import period be longer than 20 days in its home port of Yokosuka, Japan. We made a deployment on the ship to the Indian Ocean, and we had lots of maintenance problems while we were over there during that deployment. Well, when we returned to Japan, the commanding officer, Captain Tom Brown, went talking with the air boss about our Catapult rescue maintenance problems. And they had me come up to primary flight control, which I did. And the captain wanted to talk to me about creating an incremental overhaul program for overhauling casting gear during our regular import periods at Yokosuka. And he told me, he said, Vic, I want you to design an incremental overhaul program and install it and get all of these maintenance problems resolved, overhauled during our regular import period at Yokosuka. Well, we already had massive amount of work to do during those import periods. And this would add an additional massive amount of maintenance, of machinery maintenance to be done. And a lot of additional people like ship repair facility, Japanese civilians, contractors, Tiger teams from the States, like from the Naval Air Rework Facility at Alameda, California, and on and on. And I told the captain, I said, that may be a bigger job than I'm up to. I'm not sure I really know how to proceed with that. And he rolled his eyes. He said, Vic, just do the best you can. Okay, well, I thought about that for days. And, well, I need to know some stuff. And so I started researching, and that's when I learned that the ship was restricted to no more than 20 days at a time and no more than 30 days per calendar quarter at our home port. And that's also when I learned about the nation of Japan paying for all of the ship's maintenance. Nobody else from my technical community in the Navy, that I know of, knew about that. They thought Commodore Pack provided all of our funding. Well, it did, but through diplomatic channels from Japan. I said, man, that's why I don't have budget problems with ordering parts and stuff. Okay, well, I'm learning stuff. Talking with the chief engineer about what the ship had, for the rest of the ship. The rest of the ship had nothing at all. Just everybody on the ship doing the best they could, fixing what broke, what not. There was no incremental overhaul program. None had ever been developed. Beyond that, politicians saying overhaul incrementally during regular report period, it had just been dropped. Well, now I've been directed by the captain to design such a program, so I did my best. And I broke it down, the machinery down into components I thought could be overhauled during the different 10 and 20 day import periods, using all of the assets, the ship repair facility primarily. And I, of course, made a list of those things, and then I made out a schedule for doing them. And being that I couldn't get a schedule, a ship schedule for when it's going to be in port, so I just numbered the import periods by odd and even numbers. The odd number stood for a 10-day increment, and even numbers stood for 20-day increments. Like 78 stood for the year 1978-1 was the first 10-day increment. 78-2 is for the second, or actually the first 20-day increment. And 78-3 is the next 10-dayer, and so forth. Going through all of my list that I had made up of all of the machinery until it's all been overhauled. But now I don't know what else I'm going to do with this list. So I had a fairly new, he was a very experienced capsule representative, Mr. Dick Schumann. Very talented man, good friend of mine, admire him mightily. He was a tremendous help to me in doing my maintenance officer job. Thank you, Dick, if you're watching this. But I took it over to the capsule office and I showed him, and I told him why I had done such a thing. I previously told you about some difficulties with the cat chief. I had invited him to help me, but he just didn't. Nobody else helped me do that until I went over to Dick Schumann in the capsule office. He took my list, my incremental overhaul little plan, and he said, "You're going to sea for a couple of weeks. Let me hold this while you're at sea, and when you get back, we'll see what we can do." Well, I went to sea for a couple of weeks on the ship. When I returned, I discovered that he had called his bosses in ComFair Westpac and in ComNav Airpac and at the Naval Air Engineering Center and some other people that he had previously worked with a lot at the Naval Air Rework Facility in NARF in Alameda, California. And he had also talked with the ship repair facility people at Yokosuka. A team of people from ComNav Airpac and ComFair Westpac, two from each of those places, were going to come out and get with me and Dick Schumann, and we were going to design the incremental overhaul plan. Well, they came out. I made copies of what I had, and I passed it out to all of them. Well, the capsule supervisor from San Diego, Mr. Arlie Sinks, had made a list of and broke it down in components similar to what I had done. Well, we went through what I had done, and I discovered I'd done a pretty good job of it. We modified it, not really, we changed a few items, and we added a couple of columns to list who would provide the materials and what activities would do each job. Okay, I'm going to have to do a part 2 of this, so y'all carry on.